Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite cigar accessories. On my desk here in front of me, we've got travel accessories, which I've used for years that I really love. We've got cutters and punches, as well as probably my favorite lighting method that is definitely not going to be what you guys think for lighting a cigar. And it's also probably the most refined method, being that smoking a cigar is not a vice or a bad habit necessarily. In moderation, it can be something to relax the mind and an educated habit of a gentleman, as long as it's not a habit that's consuming or that it takes up the need. I think even a cigar a day is probably too much. Maybe one a week would be acceptable. I probably smoke about a cigar a month. So there's a lot involved with it. You can really cater your free time down to a refined taste and a moment of thought. It can be introspection and reflection, rumination. It can be a time in your day or in your week or in your month where you are forcing yourself in today's world of hustle and bustle to sit down and think. And it's so important really to have a quiet time, something you can do without a bunch of feedback that you're getting all the time, a lot of which seems to be negative in our world. Anyway, let's get into the accessories. That's why you may want to consider a cigar hobby, and hobby is a much better word than habit. You'll have to find your tastes and what you like. I recommend starting mild, which would just be so simple as to say the lighter color that the cigar is, the more likelihood that it's going to be mild. You want to stay away from flavored cigars because those are not in line with where we're going with this. They're a fad thing and not exactly what you would want to enjoy with a natural leaf and something that's not unhealthy in small amounts, and that would be a natural cigar. My recommendation would be a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper and a Cuban seed filler of some sort if you can't get an actual Cuban cigar, which are very good, and there's still a reason they're so popular. Moving right along, the best way to responsibly and frugally enjoy a cigar hobby is buying your own cigars, because anymore they're so overpriced in actual brick and mortar stores, as those areas are really just mainly for enjoying a cigar. If you don't have somewhere else to enjoy one that's a well-suited ambiance for smoking a cigar, then you may want to go to that location, but they're incredibly overpriced at those locations. So I buy mine from offline. Thompson Cigar I've been using for 15 years, and I like those guys. This is the Humidor that I built, and I built this Humidor to fit my needs, and also because there are no solid Spanish cedar humidors on the market that are 100% handmade either. So this is just a high end, the most elite level humidor that you can get. No filler woods, no nothing. 100% handmade, old growth Spanish cedar, something that I look for. You want the Spanish cedar because you want that aroma, aromatic wood that's not gonna hurt the cigar, that's actually gonna help the aging process of the cigar. You have to have a humidor so your cigars don't get ruined. So if you're purchasing your cigars, it very quickly pays for itself in the long run, having a good humidor. Humidor care would be a whole nother video, check that out. They're pretty, nowadays with the inserts, they're pretty easygoing. I'll show you a few things like that. Make sure you've got a good humidity gauge on here. These ones from mine come with the highest certification, highest quality manual gauge you can get. The relative humidity on this one's like 82% right now. I actually, because where I'm at, that's the humidity right now. It's been raining for like 3 weeks. But this particular humidor is something catered, like I say, to my needs, and it has a little something extra that is above and beyond maybe what you may want as a cigar aficionado. And that is a little stash in the bottom for those that enjoy preparedness. Other than that, it's just a pretty standard humidor. other than the fact that it's 100% handmade, fully Spanish cedar. All bronze accessories, and of course, like we mentioned, the great actual humidity gauge on there. I like Ashton a lot. I'm starting to get more into the smaller cigars. I like Davidoff a lot. They do a really good job with their smaller cigars. Just because of my time, I really should listen to my own advice and take more time to smoke bigger cigars like this Leaf by Oscar, which is just an incredible cigar. If you can get one, they're getting to be a little more rare, I think, these days. Flor de Copan is what I would consider to be the lowest level. I get a good price on these, getting them direct from manufacturer sometimes, and they're a decent smoke, but you can get them really, really, really inexpensively in country. From there, every humidor should have some sort of a grate system, right? You want airflow through there. That aromatic cedar, such a great smell, so important for being able to, genuine Spanish cedar. This being 100% made out of genuine Spanish cedar is just a huge deal, allows those cigars to age and just become better with time, more valuable, all of the above. Then, pretty much any kind of humidor insert, the things that actually hold the humidor fluid. I do recommend using a good humidor fluid. If not, you can use distilled water. That would be a separate video. But, getting a good humidor is a good idea. Unfortunately, most of them are some sort of a laminate, very cheaply factory made, wood veneers or just a covering of wood. And then the decent ones all have some sort of Spanish cedar, usually not a very high quality Spanish cedar, but some type of cedar or maybe Spanish cedar on the inside. That's kind of a minimum. If you guys want something handmade, then other than getting it from me, which I don't even know if I have, well, probably won't have any available. These are so time consuming and difficult to make, and I'm so behind on stuff. But you can otherwise, only other way to get something at this level is really just to have a woodworker that make it for you. And you're looking at a couple $1,000s, you can probably get it done. Maybe not with the same quality of wood, but like I say, it's worth the investment in my opinion. Speaking of Spanish cedar, I'll really just show you this. This is my old standby ashtray. Sell these on my website as well, but this is just a really old one of the first ones that I use all the time. Solid Spanish cedar as well. The ashtray doesn't have to be solid Spanish cedar. I just do that because I can. I use my expedition vehicle to pull out fallen cedar trees all over the world. You can use ceramic or anything. The nice thing about a good ashtray is you're going to want to find a real big one so it can handle any size cigar, and you want cigar size cutouts, right? We'll talk about actually cutting the cigar, which is super important, and we'll talk about lighting the cigar. Traveling with cigars, since we already really talked about humidors, the cigar caddy is the best option I've found. Really cool. It has, well, other than sometimes that they're not like super well made or anything. They work, but the latches pop off. It's not broken, it's just popped off. So the latches pop off on occasion. But yeah, it pops right back on. They remind me of like a Pelican case, but they have a little humidor insert on the inside, which is really handy so your cigars don't ruin. And they also have this foam lining. I've been using this one for a lot of years, and it protects your cigars. They have different sizes. This is my smaller one. I have a bigger one as well. When I go out on the boat, you guys see me smoking cigars in the boat. I always have one of these in my Gray Man operations pack. Pretty much anytime I'm traveling, I have this. You've seen it in a lot of videos way back in the day from me doing different, talking about the different stuff in the Gray Man operations pack. But let's talk about lighting and cutting. Now, cutting your cigar, there's kind of two major options, and the two major options are either actually cutting it or punching it. In order to smoke any good cigar, it's gonna come fully wrapped, right? The outer wrapper that it has on there, it's gonna oftentimes come with a plastic sheath. This is actually a shaving of Spanish cedar, so that's how important it is. This particular Flor de Copan comes with this on there. But the most important thing is to realize that it has a cap on there, all right? And you're gonna have to cut it if you wanna smoke it. What I always do is just wet it a little bit, just helps to cut easier in my opinion. And I'm not talking about wetting it a lot, I mean a tiny tad of moisture. I just kind of touch it to my lips basically. And then you can either cut it with a cutter or you can punch it. When I say punch, I mean punch like the name of the cigar company, Punch, right? And we'll show you what those are in a second. But this is a Zai Fei, really cheap Chinese cutter. I think I got it off Amazon. Just looks cool. All right, so there's all kinds of fancy different cutters, and they literally just cut. You cut right at a certain point of the crown of the cigar, you cut that off. And that's pretty much an option that you can almost always use. I think a little bit of a even more refined, and like I say, with cigar smoking, what you're basically doing is just trying to develop a skill set, if you will, a taste, and then enjoying some time and doing things very finely and correctly. I've been called a perfectionist in my knife making and you know, building things and designing things. So it suits me well, the hobby of cigar smoking, because it's all about the details, right? And so I happen to design my own cigar punch, which I'm extremely proud of. And it has some other uses for those of you that might be wondering if I made something that's specifically a cigar punch. Really cool. It's gonna take a little bit of understanding, so let me explain this to you as briefly as possible, but you're really gonna have to tune in for this, because check this out. It has 3 parts, okay? This is stainless steel right here that you see that's metal colored. This is bone durantium, all right? So one of the world's strongest materials. It is the world's strongest non-permissive environment material, non-metallic, non-magnetic. This is an insert here. So when you're carrying it on your keys, these are both inserts. When you're carrying it on your keys, so it's designed to be used as a keychain. You just, put a S-clip or in there that it'll ship with. I'll sell those with it. This is the S-clip they come with. In order to carry it as a keychain, you just put your key loop on here, where you see right here. While it has the stainless steel insert in there, that's when it can be used as a cigar punch. This little guy here, that is the 3rd piece, can either be inserted this way with the point in, so when you're carrying it on your keys, there's no sharp edges and it can't hurt you. If you did need to use it as, I don't know, if you wanted it to have a point on there, you could just flip that around, and then you've got a point. Small bones of your hand are protected against any impact. On the inside of your hand, with bone durantium, and the outside of your hand is what we could call a glass breaker. Here's the 3 pieces here. Now let me show you how these 3 pieces come together to be used as a cigar cutter. I put the stainless steel insert in there, a cigar punch, excuse me. And I just line it up right here with the crown of the cigar. Give it a little twist and a push, and there we go. My cigar is punched. I'll remove that cutout, but I'll show you a close-up what it looks like. Just have to remove that there. And my cigar is punched and ready to smoke. I reinsert my little piece of bone durantium there. Put my Vagabond cigar punch back on my keys, and I'm ready to go. Excellent. If you were to get a little piece of cigar in your stainless steel tube, then you can also use the bone durantium to push it out. Again, reassembling the tool completely. Finally is lighting the cigar. Now, I don't have time to properly enjoy this cigar in or after this video, so I'm just gonna tell you about the lighting process. And these are matches, and they're not just any matches, they are cigar matches. I personally believe them to be the most refined method of lighting a cigar. it goes along with tradition, it goes along with attention to detail, and it's old school method of lighting it, right? The difference between a cigar match and a normal match is that these are much larger, and it does a much better job of lighting a cigar, and you can do so with one single match. If you don't have a cigar match, never use one single match to light a cigar. I learned while on my travels when I was a younger man, adventuring the world, happened to be in the Caribbean islands, and a young lady friend of mine at that time showed me. I was lighting a cigar and having problems trying to get it to light. I only had the normal matches that they sold in the little island that I was on. And she came over and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Never use one match. It's very windy in the Caribbean islands. This island is a small island, so the wind just came across. Couldn't get away from the wind in any way. She just simply put two matches together, lit it, and lit my cigar for me. And from then on, I realized, hey, you know, two matches together basically do the work, right? Put a couple matches together, guys. Put 2 or 3 matches together if it's a cheap book of matches, and you can have yourself a way to properly light a cigar, more or less. If you can, get these. A lot of times you can just grab these from a cigar bar or something. If you're spending money there, they'll give you a pack and you can keep them. I believe that's how I got these. They get them from sponsors, you know, so the companies that they purchase from throw them into them for free. This Punch is a cigar company. I don't really like Punch's cigars, but they make a nice cigar match. I hope you enjoyed this video talking briefly about my cigar hobby and some recommendations for my favorite cigar accessories. Questions and comments below. Let me know what you'd like to see more of in the future. Thanks for watching. Bone out.